Guys, we just got a new trailer for Eula. I'm so hyped.
I am the hype!
Can't you tell?
Thanks for sharing the table with me.
Yeah, she has a dark background. I don't
In
care.
time, you are to lower your drink and look her directly in the eyes.
Can you blame him? So Eula, she's got that really sick normal attack sequence, and then her elemental skill is a basic AoE cryo damage swing. Now, if you do an E, you gain 1 stack of Grim Heart. You can get 2 stacks of Grim Heart. Now, when you have Grim Heart, you gain resistance to interruption, and you also gain defense. Now, when you hold your E, your elemental skill, you do a bigger AoE cryo swing, and it consumes all stacks of Grim Heart. Now, if Grim Heart stacks are consumed, you do reduce the physical resistance and cryo resistance of enemies. Each consumed stack of Grim Heart will also be converted into an Ice World brand that deals cryo damage to nearby opponents. When you do your elemental skill, you gain 1 stack. You do it again, you gain another stack, and then once you have 2 stacks of Grim Heart, you hold your elemental skill, and then it will generate more cryo damage. It's called the Ice World brand. Now, the burst is interesting. I think this is the first one in the game that requires you to get stacks up before the actual damage happens. Once you do the burst, she will do cryo damage. It will create this little thing floating around, and then for 7 seconds, you have to stack as many stacks as you can, and it will explode and deal physical damage. So cryo damage in the beginning, and then stack it up, and then you do physical damage. When Eula's own normal attack, elemental skill, or elemental burst deals damage to opponents, they will charge the Lightfall Sword, which can gain an energy stack once every 0.1 seconds. In theory, you could gain a stack every 0.1 second, but I don't think that's possible. Once the duration ends, the Lightfall Sword will descend and explode violently, dealing physical damage to nearby opponents. This damage scales on the number of energy stacks the Lightfall Sword has accumulated. If Eula leaves the field, the Lightfall Sword will immediately explode. So you can choose to use the burst and then leave the field to make the burst explode immediately, but of course it will do less damage because you haven't fully stacked it. Her normal attack scaling is the highest among Claymore users. Couple the high base attack with high normal attack scaling, then you can definitely see that she is a viable physical DPS. So this is the Ice Tide Vortex, which is her elemental skill. If you just press it, it is 4-second cooldown, but if you hold it, it is 7-second cooldown. So when you do gain stacks of Grim Heart, per stack you gain 30% defense. So if you have 2 stacks, that's 60% defense. Per stack of Grim Heart that explodes at level 1, it's 96% additional cryo damage. If you consume Grim Heart stacks, you deal additional cryo damage in this number. 2 stacks, that's 134.4% times 2. Press damage is 204%. If you hold it, it's 343%. So there's a big difference between just pressing it and holding it. The passive talents is what makes it interesting. For Rolling Rhyme, if 2 stacks of Grim Heart are consumed upon holding your elemental skill, a Shattered Lightfall Sword will be created that will explode immediately, dealing 50% of basic physical damage. What does this mean? Basically, when you have 2 stacks of Grim Heart and you hold your skill, you deal additional physical damage. Not only do you deal additional cryo damage, you also deal additional physical damage, and then you reduce the physical resistance and the cryo resistance of the enemy. It's amazing. And then this one, Wellspring of Warlust. When Glacial Illumination is cast, the cooldown of Ice Tide Vortex, which is her skill, is reset, and Eula gains 1 stack of Grim Heart. What does this mean? If you do your burst, it will reset her elemental skill. So what's gonna happen is the optimal combo for Eula is going to be E, Q, hold E. You do your elemental skill, you gain 1 stack of Grim Heart. And then you do your burst, you gain another stack of Grim Heart. And it also resets the cooldown of your skill. So now you have 2 stacks of Grim Heart and your E is reset. And then you'll get the full benefit of 2 stacks of Grim Heart. If you think about it, if you use Pale Flame set, then you'll be able to trigger the 4-piece Pale Flame bonus immediately. So EQ, hold E, you get Pale Flame bonus, you get 2 stacks of Grim Heart bonus, physical resistance decrease, cryo resistance decrease, additional cryo damage, additional physical damage. It is crack! For her Constellations, C1, every time Ice Tide Vortex Grim Heart stacks are consumed, Eula's physical damage is increased by 30% for 6 seconds. Each stack consumed will increase the duration of this effect by 6 seconds up to a maximum of 18 seconds. You could get 60% physical damage bonus for Eula almost all the time. That's insane. You're already doing bonus physical damage from this talent, and then you're reducing physical resistance from her elemental skill when you consume 2 stacks of Grim Heart Dawn. And then you're also gaining physical damage bonus as a stat when you're doing your elemental skill when you consume your stacks. C2, basically what it says is the hold E gets the same cooldown as the press E. So the hold E is not going to be 7 seconds anymore, but only 4 seconds. Sounds kind of broken, but I don't think it's going to be that broken. That's only a 3-second difference. It's not a big deal. It sounds really good. I'd love to get it. C4, Lightfall Sword deals 25% increased damage against opponents with less than 50% HP. The Lightfall Sword, this one referring to, is the one that is generated from her burst. And also, I think this talent right here, when you consume 2 stacks of Grimheart using your skill, you generate a Lightfall Sword. It affects both her elemental skill damage and her burst damage. But it does have a condition of less than 50% HP, which I kind of don't like. C6, Lightfall Swords created by Glacial Illumination start with 5 stacks of energy. Normal attacks, elemental skill, elemental burst have 50% chance to grant Lightfall Sword energy. If you do your burst, again, we have to stack up as many stacks as we can when doing her burst. C6 gives you 5 stacks immediately, and then all the damage that you're doing with Eula, normal, elemental, burst, it will have a 50% chance to grant additional stack. Now, if we check the scaling at level 6, the damage increase per stack is 109%. Bro, if you have C6, you already get 545% instantly on top of the 533.5%. That is 1000%. That is absurd. We haven't even stacked up as much as we can yet. For example, you're able to do your full normal attack sequence, which is 7 hits. 7 times 109 is 763% plus 545%. That's 1,200 something, 300 something. This scaling is nuts. Just do take note that it does take some time before it explodes, and it's physical damage, so you can't really scale it as well as Pyro or Hydro, but maybe it will still outperform them because the scaling is just way too high. We will see, bro. So yeah, I think Eula is gonna be an insane physical DPS, but she's gonna be a selfish DPS. You don't really want to be switching out, especially when you use her burst, because you gotta stack using her. You cannot stack using other characters. It explodes immediately. Will she be viable as a cryo DPS? I think so. Yeah, it is possible because her elemental skill does cryo damage and it's only 4-second cooldown, and she does decrease the resistance of cryo with her kit, and the initial damage of her burst is also cryo. If you pair her with Chongyun, then all her normal attacks is gonna be cryo. So I think it's also gonna be viable, but why would you want to go cryo if her burst does 1000% of physical damage? Now, what artifacts do I think would be good on her? I think Pale Flame is going to be amazing for the fact that her elemental skill is very low cooldown, and you can do EQE to trigger Pale Flame if needed. 2-piece Bloodstain, 2-piece Pale Flame would also be good for physical if you don't want to mess around with trying to satisfy a condition. 4-piece Gladiator, I think, is outshined by Pale Flame, so you might as well just go farm Pale Flame if you were thinking about using your Gladiators, unless of course you have insane stats on your Gladiator artifacts. You could go for Noblesse to get a higher damage on the burst. If you use Noblesse, then you will increase the damage of both the cryo aspect and the burst aspect. But if you use Pale Flame, then you get 50% physical damage on just the physical aspect of the burst. Now, I can't say for now which will be stronger, but I'm leaning towards the physical aspect. Team compositions, of course, you want to put a Electro for Superconduct, Fischl, Lisa. I would prefer Fischl just because of flexibility of Oz being on the field for long periods of time. So maybe another Cryo for Cryo Resonance to get 15% crit rate, and Bennett for more attack. Of course, you can use Venti to group enemies up. You can use Zhongli to reduce the physical resistance and elemental resistance of enemies, but those are 5 stars. I want to be giving you options for 4 stars if, for example, this is your only 5-star character, Eula, because she's a waifu. You could pair her with Chongyun if you plan to make her cryo DPS. That's fine. You could use Rosaria as the other cryo resonance because Rosaria gives crit rate, so you get crit rate from cryo resonance and crit rate from Rosaria. Now, for the weapon, I personally will be using Skyward Pride. I'm not gonna bother pulling for the Song of Broken Pines. Looking at the numbers, I don't think it will beat Skyward Pride. If you plan to make her cryo DPS, then Wolf's Gravestone will be the best. But if you're F2P, you can go for Prototype Archaic or Blackcliff if you need some crit damage. You could also go Serpent Spine. Just make sure to put a shield on her. You might think Snow Tomb is good on Eula, but the fact that Prototype Archaic exists and uses the same material as Snow Tomb, and the fact that it's better than Snow Tomb, makes it so that Snow Tomb is a trash weapon. Personally, I think I'm just gonna go for C0 Eula. I'm content with just getting this waifu. She's so cute. Yeah, I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. Now, when she does come out, we'll make a full guide on Eula, so make sure to subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow if you're on Facebook, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on content. Now, we also have a Discord community full of active, happy, bunch of weebs also, so beware. The link is in the description. There's character builds in there. There's random giveaways. You are not gonna regret it. You can catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on fb.gg/xnolph, and I'll see you on the next video.